Misty Marris, she's a defense and trial attorney. Misty, charges against Baldwin were dropped back in April. Why did this new prosecution team decide to send this to a grand jury?
Yeah, Jake, it requires looking back at what happened when those charges were dropped. At that time, a new special prosecutor had just been brought into the case. And based on their review of all of the investigation and the evidence that had been collected to date, there was an indication that the gun at issue might have been altered or manipulated. Based on that, they actually dropped the charges against Alec Baldwin, saying that if it had been manipulated, then there's no way it would cut off his criminal culpability. But they did it without prejudice. That means they could always be resurrected. Since then, there's been further investigation. Elizabeth referenced that FBI report about that gun. And in the fall, it was indicated this case was going to go to the grand jury. Presumably, that's because there was a determination the gun was not manipulated, and therefore this was ripe for a jury to make a determination about whether involuntary manslaughter was committed.
So we should know, Baldwin has maintained his innocence. He says he was told that the gun did not contain any live rounds. He also says he didn't pull the trigger. His defense team says they look forward to his day in court. It sounds like the prosecution has a lot that they have to prove to the jury, and there's a lot of witnesses and, I would imagine, even film.
Yes, absolutely. The prosecution has the burden, as always. This is an involuntary manslaughter charge, so it doesn't have to be intent. While negligence is in the statute, it's two different theories: involuntary manslaughter, negligent use of a firearm; involuntary manslaughter without due caution and circumspection. Those are both going to be alternative theories, but the prosecution has to prove a recklessness standard, meaning there is a disregard for human life. That's the standard under the law. Now, those are two different theories. One relates to Alec Baldwin's actual handling of the gun and that critical question, Jake, did he pull the trigger? The other is a bit broader. Remember, he's a producer on this. He's responsible for the set. There had been a walk-off relating to safety concerns on the set previously. Did he do his safety training? Those are all issues that are going to be prevalent at the trial. And the critical question is, what did he know? What was his subjective knowledge at the time? And did he deviate to the point where he was reckless? That's the burden of the prosecution in this case.
And also, I'm told the gun was damaged during FBI testing. It seems to me, I'm no lawyer, but it seems to me that might make it harder for the prosecution to prove their case if the gun is damaged.
Absolutely. The gun was actually destroyed during the course of testing. Okay. That leaves the door open for the defense team to really attack that presumption that the trigger had to have been pulled in order for the gun to discharge. That's critical to Alec Baldwin's defense. And the defense is going to say, we never even got the opportunity to do any independent testing. These results are unreliable. And guess what? The gun is no longer here. It is destroyed, so we can't even conduct that at this point. So that really leaves a door open, and I expect the defense to really focus on that in order to raise reasonable doubt in the courtroom.
Misty Marris, stay with us because I have more questions for you based on the next story, which is the murder case.